Hello everyone, and welcome for this video tutorial on aepp. And this time around, I would like to go deeper into the schema management element and provide you the capability that are available in aepp, not out of the box from the API, but built on top specifically from aepp. And those elements are the managers. So we have several manager available, and we will start with the Schema Manager. But if you go into aepp element, all of those things are always documented, but you can see that there are four of them: the Schema Manager, Field Group Manager, Data Type Manager, and Class Manager. And we will go through each of them and show you what the capabilities are and what you can do with them. And it's really interesting for this setup. So we will start again from the schema. It's part of the previous video that you have watched on aepp schema, where we show you what you can do with the different schema API or schema API methods. And to remember, we started from a folder, and in the folder you can do a shift right click if you're on Windows and open PowerShell Windows and type Jupyter Lab. I have a configuration file here installed, and I have also import that configuration file here, specifying which sandbox I want to have. I already have a sandbox in the configuration file. I would not need to use this sandbox keyword here, but yeah, just to state the possibility of hiding a sandbox parameters. And then I want to save this configuration in a variable, so I use a connect instance parameter. Then I save that in the prod. I will now, as I'm going to dive deeper with this specific notebook, I'm going to now use the notebook and add more elements. So I will create a markdown by selecting these cells and typing M, then it's becoming a markdown. So I can do here setup. Here I'm going to have schema element, and below I will now look into the schema manager. So Schema Manager is actually a module from aepp, and you can do that by from aepp import schema and tab, and you can see there is a schema module that we have already used before and Schema Manager module. There is also a Field Group Manager that you could use, and we can load all of them now: Data Type Manager and Class Manager. We can import all of them, and then we are good to go. So I showed you before on the aepp schema basic elements that you have access to all of the methods, and you can always get in the first video I show you also one of the first video that you can always get help on the function you want to use to see what you can do with this function. You can see all of this. I explain the difference between full and not full. I show you how to get a schema ID and also the schema type, XDM versus XED, and what you can save, and if you want to save it. So as a recap, I wanted to show you again that as you are going to get the full definition, which is the default when I do not have the parameter used, it's automatically declaring the full, you get a very, very large schema. We were looking into it in the previous video, and it was 5,000 rows of JSON. If you save that, and it's really hard to see what you can do and what is available in that schema. It has a lot of meta required, all of the different elements that are actually needed to understand. But if you are in the not full development and full dependency load, then you can get from the schema what are the components of that schema. And I was explaining in the video on the schema that a schema is composed of a class, which we can see here is class experience event, and also of different field groups. And here we can see the different field groups that are called here mixin, In that case, we have a specific custom mixin that is the one that I have created. It's a specific one. I will see that in a moment. And also the out-of-the-box mixin. One of the things I wanted to add to that, actually to the previous video, is that you can get access to the previous mixin if you are in the prod schema, which is the instance of the schema. Sorry, I'm going up. The instance of the schema class that I have developed, and it's using the configuration for the prod configuration. Then if I want to have if I get the mixin, the field group, this is giving me the field group that I have created myself in my environment and are specific to my environment. If you want to have all the out-of-the-box field groups, then you can use get field groups global, and this gives you the out-of-the-box field group, global field group of the account, and you can see you can rename them in XCD or XDM, and you can also get an output as a data frame if you want. So that's interesting part. You can have. In my case, I want to show you what this schema, it's called a data analyst and data analyst event schema, is gonna look like with the Schema Manager, which gonna really help you understand schema and manipulate schema and create more schemas if needed. So I'm going to create this data analyst variable that's going to be a Schema Manager instance, so a class Schema Manager. For here, we need to specify the ID or the full definition. In that case, I'm just going to pass the ID. And then you can always pass a config, and it's going to use the config prod that I have loaded. And I'm loading this. This is going to create an object that is a type Schema Manager, if I look into that. And this is containing all of the information related to that schema and build up all the dependencies related to that schema. So if I look at data analyst and name, title, I think is the thing. I'll see the name. If I look at the ID, you see the ID of that schema, and you can look at the tenant ID. So I'm in my EMEA consulting organization. And the important thing is that you can now look into the field groups, and you can see all of the field groups that are being contained in the schema. You can also look at the class ID, which is the class that is being used, and you can have a look into all of those elements. In a nutshell, this Schema Manager is using the field group manager, is using the class manager, and if needed, use the data type manager. This is automatically creating all of this dependency, and you can access all of them directly. So, for example, I could now do several things that are going to work at a class level, at the schema level. And for example, one of the most interesting things to get if I is, for example, to move that to dictionary. So if I'm doing this, now is a simplify JSON, simplify in a way, because you see it's a very large JSON of all of the fields that have been defined. You can see underscore ID is a string, evert merge ID, EMEA consulting is my node, and we can have a look in the schema itself and see all of those fields in my data analyst event being described. Underscore ID, event merge ID, identity map. Identity map is a map, so it's a specific type of data field that you can send identity to. This is also described. I'm going to show you that. And here in EMEA Consulting, I have data analyst nodes, and here is all the fields that are being defined in my elements. So you can see in email consulting, I have the data analyst node, and here's the search keyword, new field 2. All of them are being defined and identified in the schema. In the entity map, you can see there is a key, and then it's a list of ID, and is it a primary or not? The key is either authenticate. So by default, the authenticate state it could be either ambiguous, authenticated, or locked out, and all of those information are being provided to you. So in case you need to have a payload example of what needs to be done, you can see all of the type is being done, integer, and so forth. So is available. One of the other main capability of this is that this kind of JavaScript, JSON representation is interesting, but sometimes you want a more flattened representation, and this is where the toDataFrame method can be used. So here we're going to call it a df for data frame, and sending that, and just do a head, or maybe a sample of 4 elements. And you can see that automatically it tells you, so it's a sample, so there are sample rows from everywhere. So here you see that you have underscore experience, this element that is part of an array of objects with the following notation, array for the bracket, and then for the curly bracket to say it's an object. And inside there is activity ID, and it's part of the specific field groups. Here is the title, the description, what is the XDM type, is it a map type, and what type of origin it contains. And you can see all of this. You have additional capability in the toDataFrame if you want to have the query path, if you want to have the required elements. So if I were to use required equals true, then I can do a sample, and here you can see if the field is required at some point in time, and you can actually have a look at which field using the data frame notation. You can see which fields are actually required in your schema. In this case, underscore ID and timestamp. So this could be interesting for you to get a full list as a data frame. You can always download that to Excel or CSV, whichever way you want to have this. So here I'm going to do a data analyst. XLSX, hopefully it's working. Index equals false. And here in my things, you can see now I have an Excel that is now documenting all of my things directly into a tabular format. So you can document that into your own wiki or own documentation. You can move that. I did Excel, it could be a CSV, it could be a Markdown, whichever way works for your organization. That at the schema level, you can also get the descriptors. In case you have some descriptors attached to your schema, you can do data analyst get descriptors. I'm not sure if I have any. We can just look at if there is some. We have one, so we can have a look into this. It's a descriptors that you see I have a custom label apply for one of the field paths, which is the new field. It has a specific label specify for data governance. This is part of the element for the data analyst, but it can do a lot more. For example, you can, in case you want to look into things, you can also search for field, and for example, look into for URL. Let's call it URL. And here you have a couple of options. You can say, is it the string is the URL we have typed. If it's a partial match, is it true or not? And is it case sensitive? In our case, it's will not look into case sensitivity, so we'll say false. By default, it's true. And now it's going to give me all of the fields that have a URL in their name. So you see resolve URL, where you can find this field. So in the path, this is part of the decisioning. So experience, so it's part of the target decisioning experience. You can also find it later on the web referral URL of web detail URL. All of those can be found, and you can then use those different paths for either querying or either for knowing where they are located and where you want to have that in case you want to have that somewhere. The important thing is that also you can search for specific attributes. You see that there is some elements such as URI reference, and you want to know which are actually URI reference in these elements. We can search for an attribute, and here it expects an attribute as a dictionary. So we are just going to pass. This is not what I wanted to do. I'm just going to say I want to have everything that is a format of URI reference, and it's going to give me all of the information that has, and the resolve URL is part of it, of course, but all of those are specific URI reference type of format. You can also say, for example, here it's, I think dead time would be something like this. Nothing is dead time, or is it dead time with capital T? I'm not sure anymore, or capital D. But nothing is in any way in that reference. I may have to look into this. For example, if I look into the data analyst search field and look for the underscore ID. Sorry, the underscore ID is a lot represented in that case, but in the timestamp, you see that time it's dead time like this, of course, so you can look at all of the things that are dead time in that format. And you can see timestamp, temp time, start time, IP local time, local time, and capture timestamp are all related to information. So this is very powerful to understand your schema composition, what are the fields, what are the type of the fields. For the one that are working in the Databricks or in Python environment, in a more, you can even do a two-pydantic capability, which is I'm going to save that into true, save true, and pedantic anyway up version. And this is a type of file that mostly are interesting as a Python file. And if I look into this, you see it's defining all of the different things that are available for your schema as a class, and it's based on the pedantic. So this is not a video specifically on the pedantic, but it gives you an idea on how to be using this for schema validation as well in your own system. We're going into deep elements. I'm just checking if I want to show you anything else. You have the alt ID, the class ID. I know what I want in case I have search field. Yeah, you can update based on modification. You can also, if you add more field on, you can create descriptors, operation, and then create descriptor automatically. So what is usually needed to do is to have an operation. You need to specify the descriptor, and then once this element has been provided, it will return an object, a dictionary, that you can use for the create descriptor operation itself. So this is going to attach automatically the descriptor that have been generated into the schema. One important thing to know is that, as I was saying before, this element is been resolving all dependency. So we can have a look quickly into the class. Actually, let's have a look here in the class, and you can then completely decompose your schema into different elements. So if you look into class manager, for this, we can take data analyst and look into the class managers. in case there are multiple class. So here you can have a look. If there is only one, it's XDM experience event. So I'm going to do XDM event is going to be this element, which is this one. Uh, so the class is normally not something you can change. So there is no easy access to the class. You will see that for the field group, it has more access, but I can also now do two data frame operation on the class, and you will see all the fields that are defined at class level, and you see that the origin of the information at the class level only, and this is only 5 fields in that example. You can get the field group directly from the get field groups manager, and I'm just going to look into one of those field groups. Let me go back into it in a moment. Just let me go back to it directly in the thing. So if I go to data analyst and reuse the list of the field groups, so let's go here. I have the list of the field group, and you can use either the ID or the name of the field group into the get field group manager. And you can do that. And let's have a look into data analyst field group that we have seen together a bit. And this is custom field group. It's got like this, and this is of a type custom field group. You see, it has, you can see again the title, you can see again the ID, and the same you can get custom field. You can get the descriptors if there is any, and you can also get the path and get the data type if there is any. So if you look into data types, I don't think I have any in that case. So if you look in the data type here, you will see a list. And if you have any, you can then get data type manager and do the operation to go a level lower. One of the important thing to know is that all of these are actually related to the schema. So if you update the field group, you will update all of the schema that have this field group related to. As I said, there is a relationship, and the component of a schema are field group. So an update to the field group will automatically translate into the schema itself. And you can again do a to data frame, and the same way you can do a custom FG to predict to look into what is the information, and you see me consulting data analyst. Search keyword, new field 2, and so forth are available field for these elements. I think that is a very good overview of what the different class manager are giving you access to in IPP. And normally this is a really powerful tool that is being used, I know, for many clients in order to keep track of all the implementation, get information in the centralized place, and also sometimes update and create everything. I will create a video again on these different elements, so you can go into a bit deeper on the field, especially the field group manager and the data type manager, and I will see you in the next video.